Hi, this is Carrie Corbet-Owen from Body Wise Perfect Size, talking to Melissa Fabello. Melissa, what are the 5 top tips you'd give people?
I would say stop dieting. It's not helping anybody. It's definitely not helping you, for sure. I'd also say stop the diet talk. Just like the way that we talk about our bodies, I think that women especially are socialized to find connection with one another through our shared hatred of our bodies, which is like just super unhealthy. So like not doing that anymore. True. And I think that in our society, especially women and other marginalized people, but are like really taught to compare ourselves to one another, which usually ends in us feeling worse about ourselves. And I think that that whole comparison culture is bad. So like not comparing ourselves to each other, I think is really important. Self-care, I know is like seems kind of a little bit off, but I think that taking care of yourself, when you honestly are dedicated and committed to taking good care of yourself, and that's spiritually, mentally, emotionally, also physically, when you are dedicated to taking care of yourself, that makes a huge difference in the way that you feel about your life. And I think that we all need to take a little bit more self-care and take better care of ourselves in general. And also, I think that also applies to, here's my last one, is surrounding yourself with people who make you feel good about who you are and nurture your growth. And I think that when, like we were talking about earlier, with people who are policing us, like that actually doesn't help us any. That actually doesn't create growth for us. That's not, it doesn't make us feel good. So surrounding ourselves with people and being really specific about keeping toxic energy out of our lives and instead bringing people in who water us, I like to say, like a plant, like who water us and help us grow. I think that those are the kinds of people that we should be keeping close to us, people who let us and push us to question a lot of the messages that we're getting, a lot of the really toxic messages we're getting around happiness in our bodies. And I think that helps us day to day stay on that kind of road of giving it up and letting go.
You speak about reaching body neutrality. How do we do that?
For a really long time, thought about body positivity as a concept. And at some point, it started to bother me a little bit because I was like, well, not everyone's going to feel positive about their body. And I don't necessarily think that everyone should feel positive about their body. As in, I don't think that we should be pushing people to love their bodies. I think that we should be, if anything, nudging people toward just accepting their body as is. Like, this is just my body. That's all it is. It's not terrible. It's not fantastic. It's my body. It does things for me in a variety of ways. And that's what's important about it. And I think that body neutrality, or the concept of body acceptance, to me is really about appreciating your body for the things that it does. But I think that when we push people to feel all the time like they are a goddess, and when they walk down the street, like everyone thinks that they're hot, not that that's really what it's about. It's really about feeling good in your own body, not what other people think. But I think that when we push that, people feel like they fail when they don't meet that expectation, because now it's, yeah, society creates this expectation of body negativity essentially, and that's bad. And we always feel like we're failing at the standards that society is creating. But when we create a new set of standards and we say, no, you should love your body, feel good in your body, like you're perfect the way you are, you're beautiful, you're still creating a standard for people to meet. There have so many people come to me and say, I really believe in body positivity, I really believe in body acceptance, but I hate my body. Does that make me a hypocrite? Like, no, no, it doesn't. I think it's a lot easier, maybe, for people to think of their bodies as a neutral part of their life, that it's just your body. Like kind of the way, I mean, I don't know, maybe some people have insecurities about like their fingernails, right? But like I don't. My fingernails are just my fingernails. I don't think about them ever, unless I'm painting them, I guess. Like I really don't think that much about them. So I think that we should feel the way about our bodies. Like they are what they are. They're there. They do good things. Great. But then I also realized like people have actually complimented my fingernails. Like it's like you can't escape it. It's like every part of your body, there's such a thing as it being good or it being bad. And I don't know what that line is. I don't even know what a nice fingernail is. Like, what does that even mean? It's very, very strange.
Where do all these beauty standards come from?
At the end of the day, diet culture or any kind of culture around beauty standards comes from a place of making money. Like the entire diet industry is fueled, for example, by really failed attempts at dieting. Like it depends on repeat consumers, and consumers are only going to come back if the diet failed. Like Weight Watchers, for example, if Weight Watchers worked, then people would use it and then it would be over. But they come back and back and back and back to it because it continues to fail. So, and that's all about making money. There's nothing else driving that. I'm going to sell you this nonsense to make you feel better about yourself, or to make you feel like you could eventually feel better about yourself if you use this product.
We're so easily misled though, aren't we?
Read you an advertisement that I saw today. It's a Weight Watchers advertisement that came to me on Facebook that says, your relationship with food is an important one. We help you make it the best it can be. I'm sorry. The last time I checked, Weight Watchers, you are a diet program. You cause the problems. Like, you are the reason why people have complicated relationships with food. You cannot fix it. It is impossible for you to fix it. I was blown away by this ad. Like, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you really don't get it. Or you do, really, and that's how you make all of your money. The diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and all of these terrible things are happening because of it. I don't know. I just feel like if you had any kind of like sense of morality or ethics, maybe you would stop doing what you're doing, but they don't. But I think that drives younger people having eating disorders, older people having eating disorders everywhere, thrown around. Like, it's not, and some people think, oh, people are just overdiagnosing and all these things, but it's like, no, that's not real. Like, the problem is that it's more and more people are going on diets. I think that really is kind of what it comes down to, is more and more people are thinking about dieting as a realistic option for them. And then what happens is a lot of people who go on diets develop eating disorders. I also think that, the amount of hurt that a diet does to your body is like immeasurable. I mean, it hurts your body badly to be on a diet because you're not listening to what your body needs. Eating is a natural function. And I get that we have an overabundance of options and that food becomes very confusing. Our relationships with food become so complicated because we stop listening to our body. We are the ones telling our bodies, like, no, I know better than you. I'm going to gain control over you. Someone asked me recently, she's in recovery from binge eating disorder. And she was like, I've gained a lot of weight, and I want to go on a diet to, get my body back or whatever. And she said that, she was like, do you have any ideas of diets I could go on that wouldn't trigger binge eating? You're not going to like what I have to say. I was like, but it's impossible. It's like every single diet, by virtue of the way that diets work, will trigger binge eating because you're taking something away. Every diet, its existence, the way that it works, its fundamental, like, core thing is starving your body. That's what you're doing. It's the only way for a diet to even attempt to work is you have to starve your body. And eventually your body is going to be like, I don't think so. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm not taking this shit anymore. And your body is going to be like, oh, food, I'm going to eat this. Because the way that it kind of works is you make decisions in the frontal cortex. So like this part of your brain is when you're making decisions. And then your midbrain function is where all the instincts are. So for example, I give people the example of like, you have a pizza in front of you, and in your frontal cortex, you're like, I'm going to have 2 slices of pizza. But then all of a sudden, if you're really hungry, if you haven't been feeding yourself, your midbrain is eventually going to shut down your frontal lobe and be like, I'm sorry. No. I need to make a decision right now. I need to override you because I need to do what I need to do. And next thing you know, the whole pizza's gone. That's how binge eating happens, is literally your body being like, no, I need this because you haven't been giving it to me. So yeah, dieting is never going to be a good idea. And it slows your metabolism and it just makes everything stop working. So it's always bad news.
And then we talk about it as falling off the wagon.
The idea of a wagon that you can fall off of. But you can't fall off of the wagon if there's no wagon that you think you're on. So it creates this idea of self-blame and a lot of guilt and shame around falling off the wagon when you're not actually doing anything wrong when you get really, really hungry when you're on a diet and you binge eat. Like, that's not your fault. That's the diet's fault. And that's exactly what I was saying before about repeat consumers. Like, that the diet industry couldn't work if it didn't fail. So it wouldn't make money if it didn't fail. And the truth of the matter is, when you look at research, 95 to 97% of people cannot keep significant weight loss off for more than 5 years. And that's because your body's like, no, like, I need food and you haven't been giving it to me. So I'm going to take it back. And then because of everything we were saying before about metabolism and all this other stuff, that, yeah, you end up putting on more weight. And then what happens is in our heads, because of the way that the diet industry convinces us that they are the solution and that we are the problem, is that our brains go, well, I went on that diet, I went on Weight Watchers or whatever I did, and it worked. I lost the weight. So clearly that did work. I'm the problem. I did something wrong. Oh, hello.
Dieting also just limits our living so much.
That's real. And it also affects relationships in that if you're so obsessed about food that you might not go, if someone invites you out to dinner, you're not going to go. Someone's like, hey, do you want to meet up at a bar or whatever? You're like, oh no, empty calories. I'm not going to go. And especially food being food is a really beautiful experience, not only just like cuisine being an awesome experience, but also the communal aspect of food and sharing food with other people is just a really, really lovely connection that you can make with people. And you give that up when you are obsessed with calories and obsessed with, food in general. And the idea, like I was saying before, about morality and food as sinful versus food as salvation, you give that all up. And that really has a huge effect on your relationships. And yeah, I agree. I think I really want to get a shirt that says like, F your diet, because like whenever people want to talk about diets, I'm like, I could not care. Like, first of all, do you even know me? Like, I obviously don't want to have this conversation, but like, furthermore, you have interesting thoughts in your brain that I would like to hear. I don't want to hear about your diet. That's boring. There's nothing about that that's interesting. So,
Melissa, I'm sure you've noticed food policing going on.
Policing is a thing, and we police ourselves and we police other people, and we allow other people to police us, because it's interesting when you look at it. We have a long history culturally around Judeo-Christianity, and a lot of Abrahamic religions really focus on guilt as the source of everything. That like, you are going to do the things that your God wants you to do based on how guilty you feel about it. And I was raised Catholic, and it's definitely real, right? It's definitely a thing about guilt. And that seeps into everything that we do. And it also seeps into diet culture. And like I was saying, I mean, I've said it a million times already, but like the idea of food as sin or salvation comes from a religious understanding or a Judeo-Christian understanding about food. And we have this really mixed up idea, though, when it comes to food and our bodies, that we think that we want to have inspiration and motivation around us to have better bodies, but it actually makes us worse people. So we confuse the idea. We think of thin bodies, for example, as being more moral and having more control, for sure, and just being better. We lift it up to kind of a religious status, which is a whole other interesting conversation about the history of even anorexia nervosa starting as a religious, fasting. So it's a really interesting connection that we have. And I think that we allow people to police us because we want people to make us better people. And we believe that we will achieve more morality, higher morality, and just better person status if we have thinner bodies, if we have more fit bodies, if we aren't putting certain foods into our bodies. So we keep those people around to have that effect on us. Even people make, Thinspiration boards and things like that, which, now online people can follow Thinspiration blogs or Thinspiration accounts, or even Fitspiration, which is just as bad as Thinspiration. We'll follow these accounts when like, you should be inspiring yourself to do great things. You can make an inspiration board of all sorts of things that would actually make you a better person.
For more of the inspirational Melissa and other experts, visit www.bodywiseperfectsize.com.